Hi, welcome to Conversations with Eve. How you guys doing? And I hope you guys are well. And if you are listening or tuning in to this episode and you're not doing so well, you're not feeling so well, please know that this too shall pass. And I am taping this episode on the day that Juneteenth is observed. So I wanted to have a conversation about African American women and the friendships that we have with each other, and why it is so, why we are so hard on each other, and why we, have these expectations of each other, why we are not trusting of each other, and why we always feel like other African American women have an agenda. Why we feel that other African American women present themselves and not genuine, and they are not sincere. And don't get me wrong, because I know that there are African American women that have relationships with other African American women that stemmed from childhood, even women that they've met, throughout the years or in their adulthood. So I know it exists, but I feel like more so we tend to be hard on each other. And having had relationships and conversations with women of other races and nationalities that are not African American, these issues were never presented. It was always, when you speak to an African American woman, you hear that, this is why I don't do women. This is why I don't hang out with women. This is why I don't trust women. And I've always wanted to, have the conversation and to find out why we feel the way we feel. And I'm not just speaking to you guys, I'm also speaking to myself, because I'm also guilty of some of these things. And I definitely want to have a part 2 to this conversation. So we can, and I want to bring in some guests and some other women so that we can really, really have a deep conversation about this and kind of get other women's perspective on this and understand why women feel the way they feel, African American women, and what their experiences have been with other women, with other Black women, to make them feel the way that they feel. I know for me, growing up, my experiences with my own kind wasn't pleasant. It was always wishy-washy. It was always on and off. But throughout the course of my life, I've also met some really, really genuine, decent Black women. And I met them when I was younger. And, as time goes on and life takes you on different courses, you outgrow people, people outgrow you, you lose contact, people move away. So things change. But I've had relationships where it was just pure fun and laughter, and never a disagreement, never an argument, never any disrespect. But then I find that as I got older, my ability to meet other African American women and genuinely connect with them and not have a guard up became more and more difficult. And I had to ask myself, why? You know, what is it? Is it what we have been taught? Is it the things that we hear? Is it listening to other people's stories about their experiences with other Black women, and we, because we don't want to experience those things, we all of a sudden put up a wall and don't want to have to deal with it. And I think in doing so, sometimes we may cheat ourselves of some really, really decent friendships that, you know, you can make throughout the years. And, you know, friendships, real, true, genuine friendships are one of the most important things a person can have during their lifetime. And I'm talking about outside of your spouse, outside of your relationships with, you know, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, outside of your family, having true, genuine sisterhoods with people that can show up for you when you need them, and people that can be there for you and have a conversation with you and listen to you and not necessarily agree with everything that you say and do, but love you anyway and will always be genuine and honest with you, are things that I think everyone needs. But I feel like as African American women, we truly need other African American women, because there is no one other than an African American woman that can understand another African American woman's journey and the struggles and the things that she has to endure. No one can understand that. And no one truly understands the African American culture more than another African American woman, you know, and having those conversations and being in those relationships with other women that look like us and represent us is genuinely important. And so, having said that, I also want to understand what it is about us that makes it so difficult for us. And why do we, as African American women, see other African American women as spiteful or competitive, when I believe we can genuinely have friendships with other African American women that are healthy and satisfying? But it seems like African American friendships among women it has this negative connotation attached to it, but it actually can have numerous benefits. So, you know, I wanted to get some other perspectives, and that's why I said I'm going to have a part 2 to this, so that we can continue this conversation and kind of get a better understanding as to why women feel the way they feel and what it is that they've experienced. But in the meantime, I had said, let me do some research. Let me go online and see what other women are saying about this. And if it's similar to me, similar to my thoughts, or if it's different. And I came across a thesis by a young lady named Tamika Shambly, and her thesis was called About Black Women and Their Best Friendships. And I was like, and I started to read her thesis. And I'm going to read a piece of it for you guys, where she speaks about her position on Black women and friendships. And she says, when I was younger, I remember women saying, I don't have female friends because females are too messy, or women talk too much. When I heard those quotes, it was usually a Black woman talking about another Black woman. Some of the women and young girls that I know are still saying these comments. And yeah, I still come across women that say that. She says, ironically, the women saying these things normally have at least one close girlfriend who they confide in. Whenever they made general statements about women, specifically Black women, they didn't mean their friends. They were talking about other women who lived in the same area or in the same vicinity and probably felt the same way about them. And she says, I was one of those girls who did not like to be friends with other girls. So, and then she goes on to say, it took me a while to see what Black women had to offer when it came to friendships, because I was accustomed to thinking that all women, especially Black women, were not to be trusted. The people that I grew up with and my family made it clear that Black women were never really each other's friends. They insinuated that Black women must be kept at a distance. And according to the Black women I knew, women were likely to do one or two things. They were either going to take your man or talk behind your back. Either way, they were going to cause you pain or embarrassment. And she says, according to the tales that she was told, Black women did not have any sense of loyalty to other Black women. I was told that you could not be too close to anyone unless that person was family, because no one except family will have your back. And so she went on to say that those lessons affected how many friends she had and how many of them were Black girls. And even as an adult today, I still hear the same things that she heard as a child. I still hear the same things, and it still affects how I deal with people that I meet on a daily basis. And it's sad because, if you're sitting in a room and a Black woman comes through the door, why can't we embrace that Black woman? Why is it always, we check her out from head to toe? We look at her as though she has an ulterior motive, as though she has an agenda, and she may just very well just be walking in the room. No more, no less. But we immediately, and then once we've had a conversation or once we've maybe interacted, then we're like, she cool. But why didn't we have that thought and that stance from the moment she walked through the door? So it's, and I find that, and like I said, I'm speaking on African American women because that's where I find it to be the most present. That's where I find the problem to exist amongst us as Black women. And this is how we are to each other. And so I had to kind of, I used to deal with relationships, in general. I used to come into relationships with zero trust and felt that the other person needed to build it up to 100. That's unrealistic and that takes too long. So I had to kind of switch it up and say, okay, I'm going to enter every situation and every relationship with 100% trust. And it will be up to that person to maintain that. And as I do my part, they must do their part and keep it at 100%. And of course, you meet people and through life things happen and, they start to chip away at that 100% and it goes down to, 90, then it goes down to 80, 70, whatever. Once it gets to that 15, 10%, I think at that point, then you're like, all right, this isn't the relationship for me. But I felt like that was more, that was easier and it was fair to approach every situation with that mindset, so that I didn't have to work too hard or expect someone else to work too hard to gain my trust. I'm going to come into the situation trusting you and, and hopefully we will be able to maintain and keep the friendship and the level of trust that we have. But I feel like as African American women, we need each other. And so I feel that we have to also loosen up a little bit on each other and give each other some grace and allow each other to be there for each other and have a genuine friendship with each other and not necessarily always think that people are out to get us. Having said that, yes, there are people that aren't genuine. Yes, there are people that aren't loyal. There are people that do not know what friendship entails, what true friendship entails. And when people show you who they are, believe it. But I don't feel that we should not approach every situation and every new friendship and new relationship with that same mindset. I think that we have to, like I said, extend grace to each other and allow new friendships and new opportunities and new moments to enter our lives, because there are women out there that are solely about, their God, their family, their bag. And there are women out there that will cheer for you. There are women out there that will support you. There are Black women out there that will cheer for you. There are Black women out there that will support you. There are Black women out there that will show up. And there are Black women out there that understand the assignment of being that best girlfriend. And we have to be open and we have to be receiving of it. And we have to find some way to heal from that childhood trauma or whatever trauma it was that made us the way we are when it comes to each other, and open ourselves up to new opportunities and new possibilities. Because, the saying that, I'm too old to make new friends. I don't need any new friends. I have enough friends and all that other stuff. That's, for me, I think that's a cop out. That's a guard. That's a wall. Because we obviously can always go through life and meet new people and make new friends and invite new opportunities into our lives. That's what living is about. You know, you never stop growing, you never stop learning, and seasons change, and within those seasons, you know, so does friendships and so does people. And sometimes we have to open ourselves up to the possibility of meeting new people and getting to know new people. And I feel like, especially us as African American women, we have to understand that we are in need of each other. And we have a responsibility to each other. As African American women, we have a responsibility to be there for each other. We have a responsibility to apologize to each other when it calls for it. You know, we have a responsibility to support each other. And I think we have to teach ourselves that we have a responsibility to our Black sisterhood friends just as much as they have a responsibility to us. And so we will continue this conversation. We will have a part 2, and I will have some guests, and we will talk about this further, deeper, and, you know, and get some other perspectives from other women and let other women share what it is that they've experienced with other African American women to make them feel the way that they feel, and what's different about, you know, the African American women that they do have in their lives currently. Because like the young lady said in her thesis, most women that are saying that they don't mess with other African American women because, you know, we're this, we're that, have African American friends. So what's different with the African American friends that they have now, and why are they not open to making new ones? So, you know, we're going to continue this conversation. I felt it was important enough to speak on it briefly today, and we will speak on it in depth real soon with part 2. And I hope you guys had an amazing day today. And remember, as always, pray. In all things, pray. Prayer changes things. Always, always, always pray. Have a relationship with God, and prayer changes things. I'll see you guys soon.